Hi guys, welcome to episode 1 of Confessions of a Sales Junkie. My name's Amy, I'm the marketing manager here at Dotted. Hopefully we'll be doing one of these each week. We'll be chatting all things business related topics, chatting to a load of different guests. We're all a bit bored during lockdown, a bit fed up, so we thought we'd get together and start making a webcast, because we're all missing each other as well. Today we're chatting all about branding. We're going to have a little debate about whether social media is more important for a brand or whether sales is more important. We're really lucky today to be joined by Gaz and Liam from Fresh Movement. Really talented guys. Any sort of technology, social media, there you go to guys. They've actually been producing their own webcast over on their Facebook channel. Really helpful stuff. Gave them a watch on Friday. Definitely go and check them out. So yeah, thanks for joining us everyone today. How is everyone feeling? How's everyone doing?
Yeah, really good, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Good to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think we'll start with just introducing ourselves. So if you guys want to start, Liam and Gaz first.
Yeah, we can. So my name's Gareth, or Gaz. I am one of the co-founders of Fresh Movement, Liam being the other one. We're essentially a B2B marketing agency, and we specialize in enabling brands to build fans through engaging content. So whether that's online or physical, we kind of do both sides of that. And I suppose my title, apart from that, I'd be like Chief Brand Officer, I think, because most of my time is spent helping clients shape the brand through whether that's a story or strategy or output. That's kind of my main role here at Fresh Movement.
So again, mine's a little bit similar, I suppose. Like as Gaz said, I'm the other co-founder of Fresh Movement. My role's so dynamic. It's really hard.
What is your role, Liam?
It's really hard to put my finger on exactly what I do. But I guess the key thing is I mainly look after our live stream strategy. And when we work with our clients, they need a digital strategy put in place. And that's something that I build together with Gaz. But I think if Gaz was to call me something, it would probably be a technical fellow of some kind. Like I'm the tech dude behind the magic, I suppose. But that's the tech dude. I think I'll go with tech dude. Let's go with that.
Tech dude's a good title.
Yeah, it's a good title.
Pretty strong.
Yeah. So yeah, that's me.
And Mark. Yeah, and Marcus, did you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Marcus. I'm the operations director at Dotted. In terms of that role, the type of things that I actually have to do is quite broad. So I was speaking to my dad about this not long ago. He was in operations as well, and I think the operations director title actually just involves making sure things don't break and keep things going. So that's my main sort of objective throughout the business, is to keep us working efficiently and operating at a profit, really. So yeah, that's me.
Right, and Asma, joining us from the Dotted office today. I think you're still on.
The technical fellow.
Dude, you need to unmute.
Technical dude, jump in.
Unmute yourself.
Give him some advice.
He's still talking.
Unmute yourself.
I'll just shoot him over a message. Let him know. So, joining us from the Dotted office is Asma.
Still can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hey! Jesus! I don't know what's going on there. Right. Basically, I come in once a week to water the plants, and I thought we'll just time it so I can do so I can be here, so I can got some nice bit of branding behind me. Yeah, so I'm just picking up mail and watering the plants. Cool. So intro to me. I'm Asma, and my title is CEO of Dotted. Dotted is the UK's only, as far as I know, sales outsourcing company that focuses on university graduates. My title is CEO, but really I'm a fraud. Marcus runs the place. I am through and through sales. I'm involved in acquisition of new campaigns for Dotted, getting down on the front line and assisting Jack, the sales director, on actually bringing business through the door. And yeah, I'm pretty much sales. Marcus runs the place. That's pretty much how we delegate.
I noticed you got your new shirt on as well.
Oh mate, look I've got look at my back. Gareth will like this. Look at that.
Oh, classic. Who the hell is that?
It's the flying kick shirt, isn't it?
Yeah, mate. It's a classic shirt.
It's a great shirt. Yeah, I've got a great deal on it as well. I've just found I found a website that's doing really, really classic shirts. I just ordered the Euro '96 with Southgate on the back. That's a great one.
it's all well and good. Like I have no idea what you're talking about right now, so it means nothing to me.
This football was a while ago as well, so it'll take me a while to jog my memory.
Actually, were you even born when this came out?
I'm not sure. What year was that?
What would you say? 95? When did he do the kick? When he kicked that fan?
Yeah, it's got to be around then, hasn't it?
94, 95, hasn't it?
Well, I was born 95, so I won't be able to remember it, that's for sure.
95?
There's a story there when he kicked that fan.
My favourite kit. I can't wear mine though now because it's about this big. But
is it? Yeah, guys. These. So Marcus and Amy are a lot more youthful than us. Amy, how old are you?
Just turned 22. I had to think about that then. Lockdowns made my brain squiffy.
22.
Hurts a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm so sorry.
We won't talk about age anymore.
I know. Please don't. Hey, I turned 34 in about 3 days, and I've genuinely never been so depressed about my age in my life. You know what I mean? It's horrific.
Well, to make Asmat feel a bit better about himself, we'll go into a little bit about Fresh Movement. So I'm going to ask you guys, what's the most fun project you've done so far with Fresh Movement?
I'll take this one if you want. So I think I can speak for both of us here. Me and Liam are very similar. That when we get a new project, client, whatever to work on, it's always like the start of a project which excites us. So doesn't matter what it's about, to be honest. It can be something quite simple or quite big, but I think the moment where you can kind of come up with big ideas and put everything out on the table and then work out what you're actually going to do in that initial meeting, that's what excites me the most. Because at the end of it, you've whittled down your ideas and you've come up with something that's tangible that you're going to deliver, and then you present that back to the client, and 9 times out of 10 they're happy about what you've created. So that for me is the best thing that we do, I suppose, and we get to do that quite a lot. So
it does
right definitely
go, yeah, definitely. It definitely goes from one spectrum to the other. Like we start with like the crazy ideas at the beginning, and then we're like, we can't do that, can we? And then we're like, we tailor it down and down and down and down, and then we get this really tangible idea which clients hopefully then love. And then it's definitely one of the funnest, if that's a word, things that we do, I would say.
Funnest, yeah.
Funnest.
Fun. Yeah, so bringing us to the beginning of the debate, cue dramatic music. What is brand identity, and why do I need one? Why do businesses need a brand identity? What is the big thing about brand?
Just before Gareth answers, be prepared to he's gonna nerd out right now.
Go for it. We'll start with you guys. Absolutely go for it.
He's gonna nerd out.
I'll get taking notes then.
Yeah. For the interest of the viewers, I'm not going to nerd out because that'd take a long time. Big old question. I suppose brand in general is, in my opinion, becoming the most important aspect of any organization, product or business. And I think if you're into numbers, that paints its picture itself. Last year alone, the top 100 brands, I think they're talking about $4.7 trillion of the global market. And the bigger players are just getting bigger. So the one consistent thing there is the brand. Coca-Cola are around 40% brand. Like if you took away the Coca-Cola brand, there'd be just a fizzy drink. And we all know there's a lot of fizzy drinks called Coke out there, but everyone reaches for the sweet taste of Coca-Cola, don't they? So it's mega important. And I think the thing is about brand, there's a lot of misconceptions. A lot of people think it's a logo or a set of colors or a set of fonts. And, if you align to that, then you've created a brand. That's not, they all help create a brand identity, but it's not what the brand is. Liam and I had the pleasure of going on a really, really insightful accreditation with Marty Neumeyer, who I refer to as the god of brand. He is pretty much the god of brand. And his teachings have taught us, to quote him directly, it's not really about what you say it is. It's all about what the customer says it is. So we can do our best at strategizing and creating ideas and logos and fonts and all that. But ultimately, a brand really starts and ends with the customer. If a customer thinks something about a company, that's ultimately what the brand is, and that's what the brand will be known for. So it's really a long process. It's a building process, and it's about showing up and delivering day in, day out, and keeping them objectives aligned to everyone in the company, from the delivery guy to the person who designs the logo to the person who picks up the phone. Everyone needs to be pulling in the same direction. So yeah, one, it's really important, and two, the best way to kind of shape it really is have a strong set of beliefs that you all align to, I'd say.
Nice.
Brilliant.
It's interesting as well. Because, I was going to say, it's just really interesting because, like, a lot of people also think they can just make a brand and expect it to sort of take off. Like, it's definitely possible, but it's kind of like building a brand isn't like a overnight thing. This is something that puts a lot of love, a lot of energy, because you can't tell a customer to tell you what they think about your brand. Like, you have to impose it on them in a way. But the good thing about that is something you build, and as Gareth said, you go from everyone's got to be pulling the same direction, because if you don't do that, it's going to be so pieced together in different places, like people won't really know what the brand stands for and what the point of it is. So it is a long process, but it's definitely possible.
Right. Well, obviously a massive part of Dotted is the brand itself. So Asmat, how do you want people to see the brand of Dotted?
Yeah, you said rightly, in terms of our brand, it is a huge part of Dotted. And if I think about, as a startup, starting up 6 months ago, and then putting the business together, the thing I've spent the most money on has actually been our brand. So, I mean, everything from the domain name to a brand isn't just obviously just a logo. It's everything involved in it. I mean, like our offices, our everything. I mean, it's our whole identity. And like I said, we spent heavily on it, and we used some brilliant people. Obviously, Gaz, John, who I used to design all that stuff, and he's obviously legendary. He's the best at what he does. So in terms of doing that, so that obviously was very important to me. Now, how do I want people to see Dotted? I don't know if you can see behind me, but
we can see that wall. Pretty cool.
Yeah, so big dogs only. So how do I want to see it? It's all about it was all about youth and energy and hunger and drive, and that's what a sales team should have. So what I wanted to do that was convey that obviously with our branding, and some people tell me I've gone overboard on it, but personally, to be fair, Marcus actually had to rein me in, because some of the stuff that I did want to say, because for me, even the job titles on LinkedIn, I've changed them a bit now. And I was going to actually ask you about this, with Fresh Movement, because where Dotted started, of how I envisioned it, how I wanted it to be, I'm worlds apart where I am now in terms of branding and identity, etc. So we had, because I wanted to let the market know that we're a disruptive business. We've got something, a unique offering. And the fact of the matter is, you don't get obviously young grads in a position like this. And I wanted to be hungry, and I wanted to go with sales mercenaries. And obviously, certain people advised me, yeah, that's a little bit aggressive for the certain people, being Marcus over here. And I wanted it, whereas I wanted it to be. I thought, let's just go with it. This is who we are. Let's go with. We're hungry salespeople. We're in the market. We'll hunt down sales for you, and we'll win you numbers. And then a few traditionally corporate people have told me, yeah, calm down a bit because you might want to scare people off. But to be honest with you, it's working really well for us, and our customers are happy. Their customers are happy. We're generating some good business from it. So yeah, I mean, I think I want everyone to see us as a young, fresh, energetic, disruptive business who, but at the same time, gets on with work and delivers results.
Go on. I was just saying, out of curiosity, like what is the title of those people now if they're not sales mercenaries?
So I've let them choose. Yeah, I think they've gone for sales. I think they've gone for sales execs, or but yeah, I've let them choose their own. Really, I just think that because obviously once the industries that we've been selling into, they're fine being sales mercenaries. However, when they're looking for new partners and campaigns to use Dotted as an outsourcer, the word mercenary could scare a few people. So that's why I was just a bit.
I would definitely, being a salesperson a long time ago, I would definitely love the mercenary touch. Like, I would love to say I'm a sales mercenary.
This, honestly, this is me we're talking about. At the end of the day, it's just, for me, it's all about going out there and delivering results, but obviously doing it. But I want it to be done in an ethical way, and because obviously, as you know, a lot of times salespeople will break the ethical model, and that's something that we obviously don't allow at Dotted, and that's why we monitor every call and everything's recorded and whatnot. But the thing is, the word mercenary can be seen as something potentially unethical, so that's the only caveat I would say. But I love it, if I'm honest. Yeah.
Well, obviously, we're talking about just how important branding is for a business. So what are the first initial steps we can take for building yourself a brand? Just to the fresh movement, guys.
There's actually a process which we follow, but that's a conversation for another day, I'd say.
Nerd out again.
It's a lengthy old process, but there are some really cool tips that I've used in the past, and I've used on different campaigns and things like that, which might help people. Especially if there's somebody out there thinking, where do I start? Because starting is the hardest part in many instances when you're creating something so huge, because it can be daunting. So there's a couple of tips, I suppose, I can give without giving the granular detail, let's say. So a really simple one is just really focus on your customer, not the product. And it seems like a bit of a upside down way of doing things, but when it comes to brand, that's what it's all about. And most companies these days, that's what it's all about. If you focus on that customer and create that customer in your head and really obsess about that customer in a good way, understand what makes them tick, who they are, why you're serving them, and then build the product and brand around that. That's the right way of doing it. Because if you start the other way around,
profiling, right?
Yeah, you're just constantly trying to chase your tail and make your product fit somebody else, when really, if you start with a customer, it becomes a very simple process. So that's one. I think another one that I'd advise people to do as well, which helps separate you from the process a little bit, is write an obituary, which sounds pretty grim, to be honest. It does. It's pretty doom and gloom. But if you write an obituary about the company or brand you'd like to make as if they'd passed away, it becomes an easier thing then, because then what you end up with is kind of like your brand values. And then all you have to do really is live up to that obituary every single day. If you've wrote that you're Dotted, for instance, you know, you're like a disruptor brand, you're out there to make a statement, you're out there to do it traditionally in the right way and bring in new, fresh talent. Great. Write that down on a piece of paper. No doubt you have done. It seems like you got it plastered all over your walls. And that helps then. It helps with just bringing everybody on that same journey. And ultimately then you just need to live up to them actions. You have to live them actions. You can't just write them on a piece of paper. And there's so many companies that we've worked with that do that. They have, oh, where's your brand guidance? Oh, it's in a office somewhere else, and we bring it out every couple of months to have a quick look at it. No, I think what you guys have done, plastering the walls with it, especially with a new brand, it's quite a powerful technique, I'd say. So yeah, they're my tips, I suppose, to getting started.
Nice.
So speaking of how important brand values are, Marcus, how would you summarise Dotted's brand values?
Yeah, so it's very much a sort of Asmat's tough week already, Asmat.
Crack it open, a cold one.
It's not. It's a lockdown. Yeah, it's a cider. Don't worry, it's nothing strong. Don't worry, we're good.
I was sitting out with the vodka.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a very sort of work hard, play hard business in terms of our sort of mentality, because we're a sales organization, and we thought very carefully about our values and how we could really tie them to our business, because as you said, it's really important sort of process. So we landed on four aspects or four values that we wanted to focus on. The first one would be boldness. So being bold, and that's simply, if you're in a sales job, you need to be putting yourself out there in order to hit your targets and achieve what you want to achieve. So being bold is sort of one of our first values. The second thing I would say is integrity. Not only personal integrity that you have to have, we as a business are representing other organizations and selling their platforms. And not only do they need to have faith in us that we're going to be selling in an ethical manner, as Matt touched on previously, but we have to have integrity and be representing those companies in the way they want to be represented. The third thing would be ownership. Again, tie it back to sales. You're in charge of your own number. You have to hit that. You have to own that number and do what you can to achieve it. And the fourth one, which I think is most important, arguably most important, is constant improvement. So we hire graduates and we want to develop this talent and develop them into the professionals they want to be. But not only that, we're a startup. We know in no way do we know everything that we need to be doing and everything that we should be doing. So every day it's a new experience and we're gaining knowledge from that. And we can use that knowledge to improve ourselves professionally and make sure that we are sort of taking the business in the right direction. And that's where constant improvement, I think, ties in perfectly with everything that we do.
I love that last example as well, because it's a really good example of something that could be perceived as like, it's kind of like changing one of your attributes to one of your superpowers. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're a startup, people will be like, oh, that's a bit of that could worry some customers or whatever, but you've turned it into such a positive thing around, yeah, we are a startup and we are going to continually evolve. But that's so exciting as well. And it's such a cool thing what you can do, you know. Mm-hmm. Pick them unique selling points that you've got in your business and put them to the forefront. And I think them four things that you've mentioned there are really, really nice foundations for your company.
Yeah, cheers.
Well, just a question to you guys, to Gaz and Liam. Obviously, we've got the graffiti plastered all across the road. We've got an asmat. How do you go about making a brand stand out?
Everyone needs an asmat.
So how would you make a brand stand out? Because obviously we've got the whole Dotted thing, the fun, vibrant kind of atmosphere. How would another business make themselves stand out as a brand?
I would say that the thing you could probably do to stand out more than anyone else is really differentiate yourself from other brands. Like, and I know it sounds so simple. It sounds simple, like, be different. But the thing is, that's really difficult to do sometimes. Like, I remember when we went on this course that Gareth was talking about earlier on, and we had to flip brands, right? We were given like a brand. Like, I remember I was given like a mechanic, like a garage, right? And you had to write down all of your assumptions of like what a garage does or like what it's like. Like, you go in, there's a really crap coffee machine. It smells, really uncomfortable seats. They got posters, adverts everywhere. You take that and you write all that down and you do the opposite to what that is. So you'd have a great coffee machine, or you might have a coffee brand in there that you can go and get a custom coffee, or there's like these super luxurious seats you can sit in. You just wouldn't get that in a garage. That's being different to what the assumption of a garage is. So actually, to be different, write down all the things that are the assumptions and literally just flip them. It's the best thing you can do, and that's how you're going to stand out.
But is that a good thing though, Liam? Because it isn't surely the fact that the way, I mean, the way the businesses are currently being run, or they're being perceived or shown, that works for them in that industry. So if that works for them, and why do you need to be different? As in, what is the need? Obviously, I think I wanted to be different, as you can probably see from around me. But what I'm wondering is, what's the need to be different if businesses are already being successful at what they do, making millions, and being just conventional businesses and acting just like how they've always done in that particular industry?
So I would say, like, the thing is, you can always look at the things that have worked well before. Like, let's take that garage example. There's popular garage brands out there that everyone goes there and gets their car fixed when everything goes down or whenever something breaks. The thing is, to be so gruesome, people die. And what will happen is these new younger people that are going to grow up, they're going to want more than a shitty coffee machine and some uncomfortable seats. They're going to want an experience.
Yeah.
And that's the reason for it. Like, think about it. If you went to a garage that gave a completely different experience, that you actually enjoyed being there, like your car breaks down and it's actually a good thing. You're like, I get to go there now. I get to experience it all again. Like, that's what you can create. And, having something like that, you're going to always pick to go to the place that you enjoy rather than the place that you don't enjoy. That's how it's going to work. And, all of these people want different things from different people. And, people are growing up and, they want those experiences.
The thing is as well, the amount of brands out there that are just, it's rife with this copycat mentality, and the world's changed ever since the internet were turned on. You all became connected, and if you go back before the internet, this didn't really happen that much because we couldn't go and check out what cool brands in Japan are up to these days. It just lived in Japan. Mm-hmm. And whatever was going on in China didn't really come over to the UK. But now, because we're in this like hyper-connected world, that obviously, one, leads to what Liam said. Consumers are demanding more. Because if I've had a great experience in China, guess what? I'm expecting it in the UK.
Yeah.
But then it's easier then for like branders and marketeers and entrepreneurs to just type in the internet, cool marketing agency. All right, I'm going to copy that one. So what's happening now is brands are becoming so indistinguishable from each other. It's quite shocking, to be honest. And it's going to have to be common practice, not just best practice, to stand out. I think that's just going to have to be the number one thing that every brand should try and achieve. Then it's difficult.
I was going to say, I saw something. I think it was on LinkedIn the other day. I know it's not a new thing at all, but it basically put logos and sort of taglines and mixed them up.
For different mobs and stuff.
Yeah, and you really couldn't distinguish who was who based on their sort of tagline of the business, if you like. And that echoes the statement that you just made. It's going to be even more important to sort of stand out and be or even more important to be different to stand out, should I say?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be in every single. We did an extreme example. I think I did an airport, and our assumption was you had to go to an airport, so we got rid of the airport in our example. And that's an extreme flip. It's like, well, why do you have to go to an airport? So we went a bit crazy on ours. But, even if you take a handful, even one or two of them things and flip them, it could be the way you answer your phone. It could be the way you post out some chocolates or whatever every time you've had a great conversation with a customer, whatever it is. I think just a few of them dotted around no pun intended, a company. And done well, it just makes all the difference.
It's like the example when have you guys ever been to like a DoubleTree, Hilton DoubleTree?
Yeah.
Like when you go to Hilton DoubleTree, you walk in, you check in, they give you your name, they give you your key, and the other thing they give you is a nice warm cookie, right?
Yeah.
Like, because they want that warm welcome, right? They want that next thing, and you're not stopping them from being a hotel. People need hotels. You'll always need a mechanic. You'll always need that, but those little things, like I remember when I used to stay in hotels on some roles that I've had before, and I would always go to DoubleTree because I love cookies. Like, it's easy enough for me to go.
So as Matt, you've put a lot of love and a lot of effort into the office because you wanted for it to be a place where people wanted to work. So how would you describe, or how would you say that you've represented Dotted in the office?
Yeah, so obviously I wanted to create an environment where young people wanted to work and that they were going to enjoy coming in every day. I'm going to touch on this on a future podcast of what we do on recruitment, but I'll just quickly breeze past it. But for me, why people leave, especially graduates, is they will join a business and then they want a more exciting place to work. So if I was to move to Bolton and put you on a business park and you get a unit there and have my office there, the cost of it would be incredibly cheaper than being on King Street in Manchester like we are. But what would happen is once an employer came along offering you a position working in a metropolitan city and the hustle and bustle and all that kind of stuff, you'd want to leave. So I just wanted to take that out of the equation altogether. And with the benefit for our customers is they can be on a business park in a small town, etc., because we're providing the environment for them and we're taking that hit on the cost to doing it for them. So for us, it was very key. In terms of expenditure, yeah, we've spent quite a lot, as you guys know, and I can give you a quick turnaround, but you can see branding behind me. We've got light up signs. We've got a hustle area which everything's going to work, and then in the corner there is our play area where we've put a nice a branded sofa with PlayStation, etc. And then again, branding on my office wall as well. So give you a quick.
Look at this mobile live stream, mate. Maybe you are more technical than we were giving you credit for.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and that was obviously a key part of it. And we all love being in the city, and it's just a case of if you like, guys, if Liam and like our lunches, etc. It's like we come into work and there's a 15-minute discussion over what we're eating, and we all eat together at the same time, and it's usually one of the Manchester Special Archies or one of the Arndale Market where you can buy everything from Vietnamese to Jamaican. So yeah, it's great fun, and it was key for me to provide that environment for people.
Well, so if you want to get your brand out there, social media is a huge part of that. So how can businesses best use social media to get themselves out there? We'll go with Liam first.
Yes, it's an interesting one because in my opinion, I think a lot of brands are actually using social media incorrectly. Shock horror. But,
name and shame. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, no, definitely won't be doing that. Yeah, I think it's like social media, the clue is in the name, right? It's meant for being social, and that's what people want from it. So for example, social media, like businesses should be looking at social media not as a place to sell items. You can sell items through it. Like there's some really cool things like Instagram and TikTok where you can have storefronts, and that stuff's really cool. But the thing is, if you start doing that, people aren't going to do that straight away. They're not going to go, oh, they've added a new product, I need to go and buy it. Unless they're a super fan, they might do that. But social media should almost be looked at as a way to give back to people and sort of ignite this fandom with people and get engaged as tribes, right? Because they can see you at any point. If someone follows, let's say, Dotted on social media, and they're seeing what you're up to, and it looks, like you said about this environment, it looks cool, young people want to work there, and this is back to the brand stuff, your social media needs to echo that. If you put up an advert on your Facebook saying, I don't know, something like that doesn't align to your brand, it's sort of really going to feel like a sore thumb, and you're like, oh, that's not right. That shouldn't really be coming from Dotted, let's say. And this is a thing, like people should be using social media to give back, like add value is a constant thing that we say, like, you know, give something back that people want to know. Like your process of how you do stuff. Like, and a lot of people get to this point where I don't know what to put on social. And the thing is, what we always say is like, look at what you're really good at, right? Let's say sales. Like, why don't you put out some stuff just like, here's some top 10 sales tips. Like, you're not giving away your Big Mac secret sauce, right? These sales tips are probably very similar to what big sales people will do and say. But giving that information to them is only going to make the person or someone who's viewing your social as valuable. They'll be like, oh, I'm going to tune into Dotted every time they do a post because last time I got a tip, and when I used that tip, I closed another client. Like, that type of thing is just really powerful. And that's most certainly how I would utilize social media. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that, Gaz.
So can I just quickly ask you, just ask something back to you there? Liam, just because. So what I would argue is when Amy has uploaded content on sales, and we've got, I think we've done pretty well, and we've got 1,000 followers already on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn's probably the platform that we utilize the most. I mean, we've got a presence on Facebook, but it's not huge. But our Instagram does well. But when we upload content on graduate sales tips, things like that, the response is pretty low. But then we could upload something fun and funky, a picture of me on a quad bike, or something in the office where we're all having drinks, or anything like a video, anything that's fun. And that will get a lot of engagement, and people will engage with that. I'll get private messages about it, all that kind of stuff. It's just those sort of things. I think we get a better response from. So yeah, what would be your thoughts on that?
It's really interesting because that is a common thing that happens a lot, right? A lot of people say the exact same thing. Like, you got to think as well. Like, I would look at your posts and go, I'm tempted to load up your LinkedIn here and just go through and go, let's have a look at this post here.
Please do.
But like, I look at it and go, like, how does it add value? Does that add value? Now, for example, let's just, I'm not going to do a footballer because I don't know any footballers. I'd actually do something crazy myself. Let's talk about gaming, right? I'm a big gamer. So look at esports and look at someone who is a world champion at, let's say, Call of Duty. They are the undefeated champion of Call of Duty in a 1v1. You can't beat them. They started somewhere and they started with nothing. They started with jack shit. And to get to where they've gone to, they've spent probably 10,000 hours plus to be able to be as good as they are. So, for example, if you put out a sales tip and you get no response, that doesn't mean it's not worth doing. It's actually this progression, like, you've got to build it up. But what I would say is, find a way to mix those two together. Yeah. For example, let's say if you put a picture of you on a quad bike and you get, I don't know, 100 likes on LinkedIn, why not do a video of you on a quad bike giving sales tips while driving the quad bike, right? It's exactly how I see it, to be honest.
Max is getting nervous.
Can I just say, the quad bike is out of the budget already.
Like, you see what I mean? Like, it's the same. You're giving value back, but then you're showing your brand in that video. Like, the thing is, and again, another thing that people do with social, and this back a little bit to the brand stuff as well, social media isn't about you guys. Like, a lot of people go, oh, like, your personal social is, you're like, hey, I got this new bike, I got this new car, I've got this new what. You want to put that on social, right? But from a business point of view, it should all be about giving back. Then the business actually going, hey, look at us, we're on a quad bike, for example. You know what I mean? So I'd find a way to mix the two.
Yeah.
The other thing as well, which I think we're just skipping over slightly, is there's different objectives for social media, isn't there? And there's different levels in which your company will be at. So if it's about to start off with, about getting attention, getting your brand out there, getting people to share, comment, like, just so they know who Dotted are, that's got a totally different set of guidelines and rules for somebody who's then trying to step up the next the next ladder, or the next step, should we say, to then maybe then start building on that brand. So there's different stages for this. So it's not one size fits all. An experienced, well-established brand, a multinational company, will have very different expectations and things to a startup brand. So I think that's really important to add. The other thing as well, people get a little bit obsessed over the vanity metrics of social media. And everyone does it. I get a little dopamine hit every time I go up above 100 likes on something. I'm like, ooh, the world loves me. And I think that you really need, brands, companies have to disconnect from that, because when you go past the vanity metrics, which everybody sees, the likes, the comments, the shares, and you actually get beyond that into real tangible ROI metrics of social, it's a little bit different. The science is slightly different. And more companies probably just need to educate themselves in what it is they're trying to achieve and what metrics are they actually looking to achieve that goal. Because it's not the likes that are going to get you a sale. And you guys probably know that already. 100 likes doesn't make 100 sales. And 100 likes doesn't often mean that 100 real people seeing your content. So it's really important that you kind of assess them different things there as well.
Can I just quickly ask you then, on followers, do you want people who are not related to what you do following you? So is it good just to have, so for me, I always look at, if I've got 1,000 followers, those 1,000 followers obviously will see the content, might share it. So it's obviously better to have as much reach as possible. So that's what I've always thought. But am I better off having 100 relevant followers in my industry, or am I better off having 10,000 ones that are not? So what's the best way of doing that?
Yeah, you're definitely better off having relevant ones, and we've seen this with many people before. And like, for example, a lot of people think they're really good at social media because of one thing that you can do, and that's called boosting. Like, people just chuck money behind a post and they get these likes, they get these follows on a page. Like, we've worked with some clients before where they paid a lot of money behind social and they've got like millions and millions of followers, right? But what's interesting is when they put a post out, they don't get millions and millions of likes. They get 2 or 3 likes. So it's definitely better to grow something up organically, because you're going to start creating fans, right? It's all well and good, but I can see why people do it though, because like, oh yeah, I've got 1 million followers. But when you know about social media, 1 million followers doesn't mean too much in the grand scheme of things. It's all about the engagement and what you're giving back to those people and what they keep coming back to you. You know, it's that vanity metric.
Is it a hindrance though? Is it a negative for me to have 1,000 followers who are not as engaged as? Do you know what I mean? I'm going to go on a personal point. We've got. I was looking through, and I would probably say we've got about 100 or so 100 to 200 followers who are really bang on in sales of what we need, and then the others are people who are just genuinely interested and like our content. So I was thinking, is that a negative? Do we still carry on pushing it so we get more followers? We don't boost personally. We do it ourselves, where we just send it out and then send content out and see who likes us. So I'm just wondering, is it a negative? Should we cut down on that?
Depends. I guess it really depends on the purpose of what your social media is doing, really. Like, I wouldn't say if you've got, let's say 200, let's say if you've got 1,000 followers, 200 are like super fans, 800 are not. That's not a bad thing, because there's a reason why those other 800 are following you. If you've boosted and got those 800, again, it's like, are they really there for that? Do they really get something, or is it just a bot, let's say? Like, it's good. Like, you'll have different people. Like, you go on this journey, right? Like, if you like, people start as a detractor. They won't like your business. They don't know who you are, and they go along these different steps, and they end up becoming like super fans, right? Where they they like everything. Like, we've worked with a couple of brands where there's these people that jump onto every single live stream, every single post that you do, and they engage with it, and that's the journey they need to go on. So those 800 people might just be on a different stage of the journey to the other 200, you see. So I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. It's just, you got to take them on this journey to get them, and different content will make different people tick. So the key thing with social is you've got to experiment, and you've got to really think, like, look at what works, record everything, and go, right, this post done well. Why do we think that did well? Or maybe because I had a call to action in the description saying, track a comment in below. And if you do a comment on a post is going to put it better through the algorithm, so more people are going to see it, and so on. So dissect everything that you do in a way, in an experiment, because you'll see different results.
Well, guys, what would you define a good social media strategy as? If you're wanting to get these quality leads and put out this good content, how would you start to build this up?
Is that for me?
Yeah.
Cool. So I read a really interesting quote recently, and it said, a great strategy is great, but there's one thing that always beats strategy, and that's culture. So if you can create a culture, which it sounds like Dotted is definitely focused more around a culture versus a strategy, that is the winning goal. And it doesn't matter what company that is, big or small. If you can create a culture that people want to buy into and be part of, that's the ultimate goal. It's a place for people to hang out. It's a place for people to be inspired. It's a place where people can interact with like-minded individuals. So it's about building this tribe. You know, that's it. That's where it starts and finishes. There's different routes and different ways, like Liam was saying before, about how you get there. Every company's got a slightly different route. But if you just focus on that, if you just focus on creating a culture, create an environment where people can learn, experiment, adapt, and encourage one another, that's it. I mean, one of my old mates going years ago, a guy called Tony Doyle, who's been on all over the internet recently, created something called the Lockdown Challenge. And he has zero social media background. He'll be the first person to tell you that. He's not come up with a strategy. He's not planned meticulously what's this going to look like and how's it going to work. He literally created it with a raw ambition to create a place for men during the lockdown to support each other in the NHS. And he went from 0 followers to, I think it's over 30,000 followers in a space of 3 weeks. So that's living proof of what I'm kind of talking about. He had no marketing team. He didn't have a live stream. He didn't have a podcast. He didn't have a fancy logo. He literally had an ambition to do something that meant a lot to him. And that culture, people connected with it. And now, as you can see, he's now managing a powerful group of people. And, you know, fair play to him and well done, and respect to him as well. So that's it.
It's interesting as well, because, like, back on that story right there, Tony did. Is it Tony? Was it Tony? Did I get it right?
Yeah, Tony.
Sorry,
yeah,
Tony.
Yeah.
Tony didn't set the group up to make money from it. There wasn't an ulterior motive there. The key thing was to give back, do something different, and that's where it jumps in. It's like, you can plan as much as you want, and if you can go, right, I'm going to get 30,000 followers with this strategy. But if it's like spamming your followers with stuff that you want to talk about, not what they want to talk about, you're not going to get there.
Right.
Well, have you found that you've used social media a lot in your sales career, as Matt? Has it helped you? Has it helped you find new people, or for them to hear about you?
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, in terms of look, sales and marketing, for me, is one function. They work hand in hand, and to the marketing to generate the leads, and sales go out and close them. So in terms of social media, different jobs I've had in the past, yes, massively. But the current environment that we're in now, it is ridiculous for anyone to be able to make a sales call. If I was to ring Fresh Move at the minute to try and sell you guys something, you'd be outraged because of what's going on in the current climate at the minute. So, but what is key for salespeople can be doing is actually setting up appointments, because you guys are, you guys are a bad example because you're very busy at the minute, but different organizations, decision makers are not busy at the minute. They're free. They don't want to talk to you to buy something because they haven't got the budget at the minute, but budgets will become available. So it's a simple case of finding people on LinkedIn and speaking to them and saying, look, I know you're busy now, but let's get something in the diary so I can show you here's a video, here's a link to my product, here's a service I provide, go and have a look at it, and then let's put something in the diary and let's talk in July when budgets are available. So that's the kind of thing how social media could be helping at the minute. Doing what we're doing now, I mean, doing this and actually giving out advice and content and letting everyone. So another thing that I thought of before when we were touching base, Liam, when we were saying, I'm doing a stupid video of me on a stupid picture of me on a quad bike. That's getting engagement, but the sales bit isn't. But that may, in my mind, be that people don't recognize us as thought leaders yet. Now, if I look at thought leadership and the people I follow on LinkedIn regarding sales, every time they do a video on sales tips, no matter where I am, I'm going to listen. I'm going to concentrate. I write notes. I then convey that into a training session to my guys. So because there's one guy in particular who I absolutely love and I always take notes from. So for me, especially during the COVID crisis that we're at now, it's this terrible time, people suffering and a lot going on, and we're unable to do business, but in a way you feel guilty about doing the business, and it's a case of what should we be doing now? And I think it's exactly things that we're doing right now, is getting as much content out there on social media as possible, which is relevant, giving back, and be recognized as a thought leader, and that will obviously help to win over people as well. And then once we've made these new connections with relevant people who are very supportive of Dotted and see and respect what we do, as and when it comes to July, August, obviously please do remember that a lot of companies have been struggling, and where do they cut down first? It's sales and marketing. So these companies need to ramp up quickly. They need salespeople, and what we have is these industry leaders have now got another solution. Rather than having to recruit heavily and spend a fortune, they've got a ready-made sales team there to go out into the market, sell for them, earn them money, and what's going to be very important to them is do it at a fraction of the cost that they could do internally. And the reason they're going to come to us is because of all the activity we've been doing in the midst of the crisis.
So just touching on sales a little bit more, Marcus, what do you think are the key things you need to be growing a business?
So I think one of the most key things, it's something we touched upon earlier on. I think Gaz and Liam, you mentioned it, is you need a team you can rely on, but not only that, you need a team that shares a common goal. So, like you said, if you have a team that is all working towards the same thing, particularly in a startup environment, if you're all aiming for the same objective and there's parity with that, then actually achieving those objectives and or striving to achieve them is going to be a much more sort of straightforward process. Another thing I'd say is you need to have a bigger picture sort of mindset. Again, if you're in a startup, you know the business that you're in at the moment, but you want to see it at a particular stage of growth, which will be further on. And I think sort of the hardest thing, one of the things that I find quite difficult, or something I need to keep in mind, is the fact that this isn't the end of it. We need to have something in mind that we're going to be sort of striving towards, I guess. Another thing you need, as well as the people and the vision, you need a product, platform, or service that people actually need. Without that, you're in deep water, I would say. So developing, either productizing a service that you currently have, or ensuring that what you do have is something that is going to be a necessity to specific people in a market, I guess.
Yeah, can I just add to that? So I think Marcus, obviously you hit the nail on the head. And in terms of when you said it, you need a team. So for me, is what does that team bring to the table? And like how Gaz and Liam, when you guys introduce yourselves, you both bring something very different to the table. You both have got your own individual skill sets, and that's what makes Fresh Movement successful. And I would say it's the same for us. Now, what you need is trust and loyalty. And when I had the idea of Dotted, I approached Marcus. Marcus was doing a great job. He was working for Gartner in the city of London, and I came to him with a vision, and he was like, "Yeah, this is something that could work, and I want to be a part of." Now, it was obviously that trust element, but my skill set and Marcus, we're very, very different. He's the glue that holds it together. The professionalism, I don't want to say the word corporate side, but yeah, a little bit of the corporate side, but the organization side of it, and he actually brings it all together. Now, if we ran Dotted with just me running out there and going bang, 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 getting sales, we wouldn't be able to do that. We need our customers to be able to realize, look, yes, we are we're a sales organization, but we do it we're going to be doing it in a way of it's going to be ethical, and we have integrity, and we can and again, those are some of our real key values. So having a team is great, but you need the right team, and a team that brings something a little bit different. And all our guys, so one thing I really, really pride myself on is the family unit that we've got in Dotted. I mean, if it's someone's birthday, we're all out. We're having lunch, and we all eat together. We all talk together. If there's something interesting on TV, we're all on our group chat as friends and having a lot of banter over it and stuff like that. So I think that kind of environment and that is key. And one of my mentors basically said to me, look, if we were to, if the worst happened because of the virus at the minute, and your customer, and you didn't have any customers, everything that you've spent money on, what have you actually got? What have you actually got at the end of it? And my words were my brand and my team. It's like people would die to have that environment and that brand and that love. I started my career off at Yellow Pages, Yell.com, and many moons ago. And people used to say to us that if you cut our veins, we would bleed yellow. And that's what I said. I wanted to make Dotted into, if you cut our veins, we'll bleed a luminous purple. So that's.
Well, I was going to ask, what part do you reckon a sales team plays in promoting a business? Because obviously it's a massive part of Dotted. What part
does a sales team play in it? The biggest, the most important, Gaz will disagree. What it is massively. If you think about it this way, our salespeople are making 60 phone calls each a day. How many is that? You know what I mean? Good. So 600 calls going out a day, different organizations that they're speaking to, and they're representing Dotted when doing it. So in terms of building a brand and culture, if they're ringing people up and just offending them and annoying people and harassing them, that isn't going to be reflected very well on us. But also, we're a sales outsourcing firm, and we can do everything from lead generation to enterprise sales. So we're not a cold calling. I mean, it's not just a case of, we're not selling mobile phone contracts. We're doing technology sales of key SaaS products, and that takes a particular type of person to be able to deliver that. That's why I always feel that university graduates are the best to do that. And in terms of your salespeople, they are the ones who are going to have the most outbound contact with organizations. Your HR manager isn't going to be speaking to hundreds of organizations. Neither are different job roles, whereas these salespersons, their key job is to contact someone. Just like when you have a receptionist and you have a guest come in, they're the first thing that people see, and they represent your brand. And I think salespeople massively do that as well.
Well, obviously, the main focus of the business is to get yourself out there, get yourself recognized. So I have to ask, TikTok, is this the new way of advertising? Should we be on it? Should everyone have it downloaded?
It's interesting you said that. So just to touch on this, about I'd say 2 months ago, I'd seen a Fresh Movement TikTok, and I said to Marcus and Amy, funnily enough, the two were on the call, I said, get us on TikTok. And Marcus and Amy both said, we're not going on TikTok. It's for kids who do silly dances, and it's got nothing to do with it. And then lockdown happens, and now you've got every footballer, celebrity, everyone involved in TikTok. But these two were very, very anti-TikTok, and I was very pro. So I'm hoping I hear the right answer here.
That's very interesting coming from the youngsters of the group here.
Exactly.
Not that young though.
I judged too quickly. I judged too quickly.
Think they just don't want their TikToks to be found. That's why they don't want the older guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's changed now since having a few drinks after a quiz night, whipped out the TikTok. So things are different now.
Yeah, it's interesting. So and again, this is where I'm going to tell a little bit of a story here as well, because as Matt, you said about you guys are sort of making 60 calls a day, 600 a day. I did a TikTok this morning that's already reached 1,000 people, and it took me 30 seconds. So it's kind of like one of these really interesting places right now, because the reach is crazy. And just to tell you the story on it, when we recently left our previous roles, and I made a TikTok of me and Gaz leaving outside the offices, cheering, saying we're going to set up our own business and entrepreneurial spirit and all this type of stuff. And that TikTok, bear in mind, I had like, I think 7-8 followers at the time.
That's 7 or 8, not 7 or 800.
Yeah,
or 7 or 8,000. That's
yeah.
7 or 8.
Single digits.
And
Single
what's
digits.
interesting is this TikTok, I did all the filming, and the first day of Fresh Movement, I sat on my computer and I edited that video, and I had a soundtrack lined up, I had the story, I had all the videos of where I wanted to place, and it took me maybe 5-10 minutes to edit, and I chucked it up on TikTok, and that TikTok now is currently on 900,000 views.
Wow.
It's had I think over 40,000 likes, or probably I think it's like 80,000 now, actually, I think.
So you're officially viral then.
And yeah, it did. And the thing is, I had 7 followers. But the thing is, what's interesting about TikTok is it goes out in this ripple effect. If someone likes it and someone comments it, it goes out to another wave and another wave and another wave. Now, it got so crazy that this TikTok is one of the best ones I've ever done, which took me 5 minutes. And it's really hard to replicate because, of course, you need to know what the secret sauce is. And the secret sauce is definitely the emotional piece. Like, people on TikTok are definitely emotional. They respond well to that stuff. And this was an emotional thing. We were leaving our job from a really well-established company. People are like, why are you leaving this company to go do this? And we're like, well, it's kind of what we want to do. And it got so crazy that we went to a conference actually in November last year. And we were up on stage talking about brand and social and our experience with TikTok and how influencers should be inside big brands. And I had these TikTok influencers with millions and millions of followers come up to me and go, I know you. You're the guy that did that video outside that office. And I'm like, yeah. And these people lived in Amsterdam. And that's crazy. Like, it wasn't just inside the UK. It's gone. People in America have seen it. And TikTok's one of these platforms at the moment where it can just blow up. The potential to go viral is massive. And, you're right, Asmat. Lockdown has definitely amplified TikTok. But even before lockdown, there's 800 million active users.
Wow.
And there's 1 billion active users on Instagram. So now, the figures haven't been released as of yet, but TikTok's going to take Instagram down one day, and people need to start taking it serious because it isn't just for kids. That's how it starts, and Instagram started like that too. Instagram was all about kids dancing and memes and all that type of stuff. And you're right. You see The Rock now on TikTok. He's making amazing TikToks, and got like Kevin Hart on there, and I just watch their content and laugh. I get what I need from it. See brands actually give value back and stuff. It's incredible.
Have you paid any sort of thought to the privacy and the way that the data is shared by TikTok? I know it's sort of probably time for another discussion, but I heard that all US government officials are not allowed to have TikTok on their phone now because it's owned by the main shareholders or something like leaders in the Chinese Communist Party, and they've openly admitted that. So is that something that I know this type of news is out all the time, but is that something that you've paid any sort of mind to?
Not so much, because I guess, you can look at it like that. And again, as you said, that's definitely a discussion for another time. But what you need to look at as well is TikTok is actually a duplicate of another app. So in China, there's an app called Douyin, which is TikTok. Douyin is completely run. It's a Chinese version of it. It's in Chinese. It's got a load of new features. They sort of say it's around 3 to 5 years ahead of the current TikTok. So it's really hard to say. And as I said, it's probably a discussion for another time. But it's really interesting. People don't really care as much about data as what they used to, right? Mm-hmm. For example, there was this whole thing with Facebook, the Cambridge Analytica stuff. Yeah. Are people still using Facebook? Yes, they are. Like, some people turn off their stuff. and don't go on it again. But in China, data is shared completely freely, and no one cares. Like, it's just data's data. And that's a sort of a thing that I think, I'm a little bit like that. You hear of like smart home devices that listen to you all the time, and your smartphones are listening to you. People still buy them, people still plug them in, and people still pick up their phone and use them. So I think people, the way they're viewing data now is very much changed to how it was in the past.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever use Vine? I never. I think I missed that. I never used that.
I like Vine.
I thought you were going to say Vine instead of the Chinese one. I thought when you said it was similar to TikTok, I thought it was going to be Vine.
And this is a perfect example, actually, because Vine was huge. It focused specifically on 7-second videos. And a lot of the Viners are now famous TikTokers. They're TikTok famous, right?
Yeah.
And this is a perfect example of something being too early. Vine was too early because it was 7-second videos. People had more attention span back then. People have less attention span right now. And if Vine came out if it stuck around and it made it to here right now, it would be probably the #1 platform because people have less attention. Vine might be the thing after TikTok. You don't want 30-second videos anymore. We only want 7. It's kind of one of those things of it was a little bit too early for its time, and TikTok is definitely taken that crown. And it's just the average time people spend on TikTok is 53 minutes a day. Like, just think about that. 53 minutes a day you're sat on TikTok watching memes, people dancing,
getting a TikTok hole.
Yeah, that's the way it is. And the sooner you adapt to that, the better chance you're going to have, because you'll soon be left behind. It's just one of those things.
Right, we'll just kind of summarise and bring it back to the debate aspect. Can we decide once and for all which is more important, social media or sales to push out a brand?
Hold on. I think, do you know what we should do this? Why don't you count down from Amy? Why don't you count down from 3, 2, 1, go, and then everyone either says sales or brand.
And also, the people watching the webcast should definitely put it in the comments. Yeah. I want to know what people are saying.
Right,
all right, ready?
Go on.
Are we doing? So we social media or we sales?
Yeah.
Right, okay. 3,
Enough time.
2, 1.
Sales.
Social media. Sorry, I had to wait. It broke up slightly.
I was going to say a bit social media from a marketing perspective, so I'm torn between the two.
It's got to be sales. I mean, we have regular syncs with somebody who's very close to us and helps shape Fresh Movement. He is our mentor at the minute, and we have this similar debate because he is a sales background. We are very much marketing and brand and social backgrounds. So the two worlds, when they collide and come together, are the best mix. But he made a very clear point, and I wholeheartedly agree with this. Like, let's just call it marketing for a simpler term. Marketing is a really, really good tool to help sales. Yeah. And it will make almost the sales process non-existent if it's done well. Mm-hmm. But you still got to sell. And this is a thing that me and Liam had to learn the hard way. We set up Fresh Movement and went all social, all marketing, all that. And when we had a chat with him, like one of our first syncs, we were really proud to show what we'd come up with. And he said, what's your sales pipeline like? And we were like, a what?
What's a sales pipeline?
And he was like, your sales pipeline. And we were like, never heard of one. And he was like, right, let's scrap all this and let's sell a product and see if someone actually wants to buy your product before you cause yourself a lot of headache. So the shorter version of that is marketing can help sales, but sales can replace marketing. It's the only way it can be seen. But the two are 100% needed.
Yeah,
definitely.
I would say that in terms of the marketing aspect, as you guys know about how much we've spent on brand, etc. I obviously see the great importance of it. But let's say if I was to give you a product and I said to you, here's 1,000 headphones, and you've got your product. For me to generate revenue, rather than doing on social media, brand, all that kind of stuff, like your friend Tony is a prime example. all you need to do is give me a sales team with some telephones and a telephone directory, and I'll make you money. That's the end of it. Do you know what I mean? My guys will go out there and we'll make you money. So in terms of everything else, when you're trying to build up a business and you want it to be recognized and you want it to be successful, doing it without a solid brand behind you is a complete and utter madness. But however, take this office away, and I'd have myself, Marcus, Jack, and the other guys sat around my dining room table on our mobile phones making the same amount of money. So it's a case of we can. I think sales is key, and then obviously the other next part of it is getting your cost of sale down. I've heard some. What's that, sorry, mate?
I'd say that's where marketing could come in heavily.
Yeah,
the rest of the outbound stuff.
And then doing it right as well, mate. If you think about the old conventional ways of sales and field sales in particular, the field sales people are incredibly expensive. You're looking at technology, especially, you're looking at 40, 50 grand basis, double OTE, car allowances, all that kind of stuff. And that's where our business model really came in, because whereas a field salesperson would cost you 150 grand to deliver the same sort of results, a university graduate can do it in 30 grand. So, and that's all in with their comms and everything. So that sort of thing is, for me, a cost of sales should be around 5% of, and currently a lot of organizations are working on incredibly heavy cost per sale models. And that's something obviously that Dotted is able to address and adjust. So yeah, both very important, but for me, sales takes the edge, because just if you take everything away, we can still generate revenue.
Right, I think we'll wrap up the webcast there. Thank you guys so much for hopping on and chatting to us. Some really helpful, really useful tips and advice. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. And
no bother, anytime. Get on TikTok.
Yeah, Amy, get on TikTok, Amy.
I've got the personal TikTok. I need to get the business one.
Yeah, the dotted TikTok. Get the dance going. Get
a little dotted dance going.
Yeah, I mean, I really like what Liam said about dotted around. That could be that's a hashtag right there.
I'll be having a stalk of Fresh Movements TikTok now, getting some inspiration.
Yeah, why not? Well, thank you so much, guys. Gaz and Liam, really appreciate that, man. It's been really good catching up.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for having us.
See you guys. All the best. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.